Welcome, welcome, welcome to Review Remedy by ScoreDoc. I'm Ava Dawson, and today we're talking about something that affects literally every thought, movement, bad decision to stay up too late, and moment where you walk into a room and forget why you went in there in the first place. Your brain.
And I'm Daniel Garcia. We're starting with a quick brain test, which, fair warning, sounds easy until it absolutely isn't.
Yes, no pressure, but also tiny pressure. Ready? I'm going to say a few numbers, and your job is to repeat them backwards. First one: 3, 7, 2. Okay, now try this. 5, 9, 1, 4. And now the one where people suddenly stop feeling confident. 8, 3, 6, 2, 9. If you had to really focus, or you got halfway through and your brain just said, "Absolutely not," that is your working memory doing its thing under pressure.
It's a simple exercise, but it shows how much your brain is constantly managing. Attention, sequencing, short-term memory, response control, stuff we rely on every day and mostly take for granted until something feels off.
Exactly. And that's why brain health gets people's attention fast. If your knee hurts, you notice. If your brain feels foggy, if you're getting unusual headaches, if your balance feels weird, if your memory starts doing little disappearing acts, that can feel a lot more unsettling.
Neurologists are the specialists who diagnose and manage conditions involving the brain, spinal cord, and nervous system. So that can include migraines, seizures, memory concerns, nerve-related symptoms, movement issues, and other neurological problems.
And what I think is important here is that these symptoms don't show up in some abstract medical vacuum. They show up in normal life. You're trying to work, drive, read, sleep, keep a conversation going, remember your grocery list, maybe remember where you left your actual groceries. Neurological symptoms interrupt the everyday stuff.
Right. A migraine isn't just a bad headache. A nerve symptom isn't just, "That's odd." If someone's having numbness or tingling, or episodes that affect awareness, or noticeable memory issues, those are things worth paying attention to.
And we should say this clearly. Not every symptom means something severe. We're not here to make everyone panic because they blanked on a password. I do that constantly. But persistent or concerning changes involving the brain or nervous system deserve real attention, not just guesswork from a search bar at 1 in the morning.
The 1 a.m. search bar is not always a calm and measured clinician, no.
It is not. It has never once said, maybe schedule a reasonable appointment and gather some context. It goes straight to chaos. But that's part of why this topic matters. Choosing neurology care can feel intimidating, and patients often want a starting point they can trust.
And that's what we're doing in this episode. We'll talk a little about daily brain load, a few practical habits that support brain health, what warning signs people shouldn't ignore, and then we'll share 3 Philadelphia area neurology clinics that stood out based on recent patient review data.
So if your brain made it through the backwards number challenge, congratulations. And if it didn't, also congratulations, because you're human. Either way, let's get into what patients should actually notice before choosing care. Your brain is busy all day. Walking takes coordination. Remembering names takes memory. Reacting to traffic takes attention and timing. Even ordinary scrolling, switching tasks, notifications, noise, poor sleep, dehydration, stress, all of that adds load. That mental fatigue people talk about, a lot of times that's the feeling of your system being asked to do too much at once.
And while a podcast can't diagnose anything, it can help frame what people should notice. If your daily functioning feels different in a persistent way, that matters. If headaches are frequent, if numbness or tingling keeps coming back, if balance feels off, if there's ongoing confusion or memory trouble. Those are the kinds of signs that make neurological care worth considering.
Before we even get to clinics, there are a few simple habits that support brain health in general. Sleep matters. Hydration matters. Regular movement matters. Foods with omega-3s are often mentioned in brain health conversations, and limiting constant screen overload can help with focus. None of those are flashy. They're kind of annoyingly basic, actually, but basic doesn't mean weak.
Yeah, the most effective advice is often the least glamorous. There's no dramatic movie montage for went to bed on time and drank water, but it still counts.
It should count more, honestly. But if symptoms persist, even with good habits, that's when the quality of care experience starts to matter a lot. Neurology often involves detailed evaluations, follow-up, and ongoing management. So patients aren't only looking for credentials on paper, they're looking for reassurance that communication is clear, staff are professional, appointments are handled well, and questions don't vanish into the void.
That's where patient reviews become useful. Not as the whole story, and definitely not as a measure of clinical competence by themselves, but as practical insight into what real patients say about communication, responsiveness, scheduling, professionalism, and overall experience.
Especially in neurology, where patients may already feel stressed, confused, or overwhelmed. If reviews consistently suggest that a clinic follows up well, explains things clearly, and treats patients respectfully, that can be really meaningful.
For this Philadelphia area report, ScoreDoc looked at measurable review data across major review platforms. The ranking considered overall star ratings, total review volume, recent review activity, positive sentiment in written comments, and reputation trends from the last 24 months.
And that last part matters. Recent feedback is prioritized because patients usually care most about what the experience looks like now, not what it looked like years ago. Older reviews can still be helpful context, but recent ones tend to reflect current service quality more closely.
The report compared 17 neurology clinics in and around Philadelphia, including surrounding communities. Out of that group, 3 clinics stood out based on strong and consistent review engagement and sentiment performance.
So think of this less like a trophy ceremony and more like a research shortcut. It's a way to narrow the field using transparent criteria. Rating, how many people reviewed, how recent those reviews were, and whether the feedback trend was broadly positive over the past 2 years.
Exactly. It's a starting point for smarter questions. Not who is perfect, because that's not real life. More like, which clinics are showing consistent patient satisfaction patterns that are worth a closer look?
And with that, let's talk about Philadelphia. Because if you're in the city or nearby communities, you do have options, which is great. The hard part is figuring out which options appear most trusted by patients right now. Philadelphia and nearby communities like Langhorne and Narberth have a pretty well-developed healthcare network, and that includes specialized neurological care. You'll find large hospital-based neuroscience centers and community neurology practices, so there's range. The challenge, as usual, is that range can get overwhelming fast.
Based on the ScoreDoc report covering the last 24 months of review data, the 3 best-rated neurology clinics in and around Philadelphia in 2026 were Global Neurosciences Institute at St. Mary Medical Center, Jefferson Hospital for Neuroscience, and Lower Merion Neurology.
Let's go one by one, briefly. Global Neurosciences Institute at St. Mary Medical Center, located in Langhorne, posted a 5.0 rating with 32 total reviews, 28 of them recent, and 100% positive sentiment in the measured period. That combination suggests very strong recent patient satisfaction and active review engagement.
Jefferson Hospital for Neuroscience in Philadelphia had the highest review volume of the 3, with a 4.7 rating, 103 total reviews, 89 recent reviews, and 93.2% positive sentiment. So, from an analysis standpoint, That's a strong profile with substantial patient participation and solid recent feedback trends.
And then there's Lower Merion Neurology in Narberth, which showed a 4.3 rating, 44 total reviews, 13 recent reviews, and 84.1% positive sentiment. The report describes it as showing stable reputation performance and generally favorable patient experiences within the evaluation period.
What I like about this mix is that it reflects different kinds of options. You have a clinic with extremely strong recent positivity, one with a very high volume of feedback, and another with stable performance and favorable sentiment. That gives patients a few reasonable places to start depending on what matters most to them.
Right, and this is the part where we keep it grounded. These rankings are based on review data, not a claim about medical competence. They're built from measurable signals patients often use when choosing care: star ratings, volume, recency, and positive sentiment over the last 24 months.
So, if you're researching neurological care in the Philadelphia area, these three clinics appear to stand out in the current review landscape. It makes sense to use that information alongside your own needs, insurance considerations, referral requirements, location, and whatever questions you want answered before booking.
And honestly, that's the goal. Not to tell you what to do, but to make the first step less frustrating. If you're dealing with migraines, memory concerns, seizures, numbness, balance issues, or other nerve-related symptoms, having a clearer short list can lower the stress a little.
Use the list as a starting point, then verify details on the clinic's own pages and review sources if you want a deeper look. A little extra homework up front can make the decision feel much more confident.
That's it for today's episode of Review Remedy by ScoreDoc. Daniel, thanks for doing number reversal emotional damage to our listeners with me.
Always a pleasure, Ava. And to everyone listening, thanks for spending time with us.
We'll be back with more review-based healthcare insights soon. Until then, take care of your brain, get some sleep, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.